Hey everyone, RogueGold here, welcome back to the Division 2, and today I've got a dev stream to recap for you. Maybe you saw it yesterday, maybe you didn't, but the team posted out that there was going to be a stream today where they, quote, chill in Brooklyn and check out the Payday collaboration event pass. This was kind of dropped out of nowhere, and I think the general expectation was going to be that there would not be that much news shared here, that it would mostly just be a chill and play, maybe Q&A type of stream. And while it was very much that, we did get some key pieces of information that pushed me over the edge to be like, alright, I gotta make a video on this. That includes the fact that we got confirmation on when we are going to get the reveal for the Snow teaser and content that we received last month. They finally shed some light on what was going on with those Brooklyn infrastructure keycards that we covered in a video after the DLC's release. And we got some other nice tidbits and pieces of information. So this is going to be a quick one, but in this video I just want to go over what you need to know from today's developer stream. As always, if you like what you see, you want to stay up to date on everything with the Division 2, then be sure to click that subscribe button. Certainly the moment we get further news on what is going on with this Snow teaser, then I'll be the first to let you know. Also, per usual, I have to give a major shout out and thank you to our channel members. Your ongoing support is beyond appreciated. Thank you so much. But without further ado, let's get right to this. Alright, so as I said, today's stream was a little bit informal, not quite the usual routine, but we were joined by Yannick, the game's creative director, as well as Leo, one of our newer communication developers on the game, and they did just about what they said. They were playing through some Brooklyn content, taking a look at the Payday event pass, and answering questions from the chat. So I've got approximately 9 important items here on my list that they went over that I want to talk about, and let's kick it off. Firstly, we got a firm, official confirmation from Yannick that both the Lexington and the Turmoil are going to return to the game. It wasn't just a wink and a nod, it wasn't a maybe, they said yes, they will return. They said that they don't want those items to turn into a you missed it too bad kind of situation. I think that's a good call, specifically with the Lexington, given that statistically that is like one of, if not the best ARs in the game. It would be pretty unfortunate to gatekeep that. That said, there was no timeline or dates given for when these things will return. So unfortunately, I cannot give you that, but you can rest easy knowing that they said the Lexington and the Turmoil at some point in time will return. Next up, they acknowledged the stash issue. Now, we've talked about this in a past few of my videos this week and the week before. Unfortunately, they do not yet have a resolution for the problem. They said that it is proved to be annoyingly hard to fix, that it was, harder than they anticipated, but it remains a priority, and according to the dev card on the known issues board, they're going to let us know as soon as they have further information. Regarding the current Twitch drops campaign that is ongoing in relation to the Payday event, they said that there has been an issue reported where the second exotic cash that you're intended to receive is not being given out. So fortunately this time around, all of the rest of the drops are arriving as expected on time, but for whatever reason, the second exotic cash, and they actually said that the Twitch drops distribution is not the culprit here, it's just that they coded in wrong which reward to give out. But they said that once the campaign is over, which I believe runs until July 29th, at that point they then plan to grant out the exotic cash that people who were eligible to get it missed out on. Since they were playing through Brooklyn, there was some general chatter about the reception of the DLC, what they thought about it, and the question came up in chat, are there more DLCs planned? Obviously, Yannick said we cannot confirm specific future content right now, but he did say that attention from the DLC was very encouraging, and not just from a how many people went in and played it standpoint, but the amount of attention that it was getting online from circles and people that normally do not pay attention to the Division 2, and so he said that is very promising for their future plans, and it was emphasized more than once by Leo as well that right now they're in a working phase. Everybody's got their heads down, working on what's next. As I've talked about in a previous video, summer is slow, not only in the games industry overall, but specifically for Massive, which is in Sweden. So they're working, but news is on the way, as we're going to get to in just a moment. And on that note, year 8 and 9 content was teased. Now, albeit it was in a joking manner, there was a different conversation going on, and Yannick was like, well, maybe by the time we get to year 8 or year 9, that'll be a thing. He backtracked and said, of course, that is not confirmation that we're going to get that amount of content. But, I think this backs up stuff that I have predicted in previous videos, and it kind of addresses the thing that people have been bringing up, that we don't have a dedicated year 7 roadmap like we had for years 4, 5, 6. I think that's for separate reasons, but it's clear that after the DLC, which went relatively well, there are long-term plans in place. And I predicted previously, and this kind of backs it up, that I really think that year 8 and 9 are going to be what we get almost for sure, leading up to the Division 3. At that point, how that transition works, how much of a gap might go in between those things, I don't know. But yeah, point is, there's more content on the way. While we're on the topic of the DLC, they did address the Brooklyn infrastructure keycards. This is the big mystery that was going on closer to the launch of of the DLC. I did a video on it. Basically, they were these key cards that you could get from very limited sources, but they said they were titled Brooklyn Infrastructure key cards used for some unknown purpose. There was also these weird rooms that people were finding within the DLC that were seemingly not used for anything else. Well, Yannick confirmed the unfortunate truth, but it's at least good to have the truth. He said that these were tied to a feature and activity that unfortunately did not make it through the development of the DLC. In other words, it was cut content, which is something that I stated very clearly in my video was a possibility. And so yeah, these are not something that we are going to see or use moving forward. I believe that they've already started removing these as of a recent patch. So an unfortunate ending to that story for sure, but at least that we have that closure and confirmation. The question came up about difficulty, and Yannick said the team has thoughts and plans on how to address this overall issue, right? Basically, what do you do once you've optimized all of your builds and heroic content becomes pretty easy? This was running kind of parallel to a conversation about legendary content and how there's only so much in the game, and might they expand that, or what are they going to do about difficulty moving forward? Obviously, he said we can't share our ideas and plans right now, but there are things in the works, so we'll have to wait and see what comes from that. Since a big focus of the stream was on the payday event, they talked about that a little bit. Somebody in the chat asked if future event passes like this one are planned, not necessarily third-party collaborations, but just using the event pass structure where there is this like secondary season pass that is going on. And Yannick said yes, this is a new feature that they've invested into. I think that's pretty clear if you go and look at the UI and all of the stuff that they had to implement to get this going. But he did say that while there are more on the way, that doesn't mean that they can't change or modify them to conform to feedback that they get from the community on this first one. And certainly it is good to hear that they're open to listening to that. I think monetization as a whole is a big topic right now that probably needs to have a more in-depth discussion. I'm actually working on a video about that you should see relatively soon. But the one thing I'll say here, if they're taking feedback for this event pass structure specifically, while it is a better value proposition than like the Stalker collaboration, for example, where you had to pay, what was it, like $25-30 just to get all of the outfits in one bundle. This time, at least, there's a gameplay element to it. You go through Season Pass XP to go through the pass, and you spend $10 on the pass, and that gets you all of the rewards alongside the free stuff, right? So it's less money, there's more gameplay involved. That said, one thing that I think they could do to alleviate some of the frustrations that players are showing, the fact that they have to buy a secondary Season Pass to get all this stuff, even if it is less money than prior collaborations, that still just doesn't feel great. One thing maybe they could look into is what if you were able to offer a discount on the premium event pass for people who already own the premium season pass for that corresponding season. So instead of $10 USD, what if it was $5 or something like that? It would be a small change, but something that I think would show appreciation for players who are already supporting the game that way, and hopefully it would come across as less cash grabby, you know? But as I said, I want to talk about that more here on the channel soon, but that's what we got about it in this stream. Alright, and then finally, towards the end of the stream, we got the big reveal and drop that I was personally very surprised to see. But not only did they acknowledge the snow teaser that was released back in June, Yannick was like, yeah, it's there, I can't talk about it though, but they were able to confirm when they will, and that is at Gamescom, which if you don't know is a yearly gaming convention. I believe it takes place in Germany, but they confirmed that the Division 2 team will attend that conference and have a presence, and they said that a reveal of whatever this is intended to be, along with just other general plans, is going to be present at that show. And so, for those curious, Gamescom this year is happening between August 20th and the 24th. So, in just over a month from now, we are going to get the reveal and confirmation on whatever this snow teaser is meant to be telling us, and hopefully kind of a grander, better look at what is in store for the remainder of year 7. So that's very exciting. I'm super glad that we have that now to look forward to instead of it just kind of being ambiguous about when are we going to hear about this. So yeah, really good news, and I'm now counting the days until Gamescom. Well, my friends, that is just about everything that I have for you today. Again, a pretty short dev stream, and they said beforehand that this is not intended to be a super big news reveal stream. That said, to get the snow confirmation, to get the other stuff was nice. I felt like it warranted a video just to let you all know. So I hope you enjoyed, found it helpful. Whatever your thoughts on the topics we covered in this video are, or whatever you're thinking about the Division, let me know down in the comments below. And yeah, as I said, stay tuned for Gamescom next month. That's gonna be pretty fun. But that's all I've got for you today. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. RogueGold.